And now, guys, let's talk about proper infantry, not in the way that I talked about in the last video, talking of what they were actually testing with the World War I mode, but proper infantry with a first-person kind of, idea, or even, I mean, it doesn't have to be first person, right? But in a general sense, proper infantryman that you can control and have in a battle. I wasn't going to make a video about this because at first I honestly thought it was basically just just a video that they did, and the main thing was World War One. But then I saw some other videos about from other content creators, and I noticed some things here and there. The first thing is that in the actual like news article on the April 1st, or they actually shared this video on the 31st of March, right? But it was already appearing as it was a 1st of April kind of situation. Even with that, it was actually mentioned that we were going to receive in the next 24 hours the World War One mode, but that very soon a large-scale closed beta test of infantry would begin, and they would share more details about tech trees, weaponry, gear, and gameplay features in the future dev blogs. So, and to be honest, if you even take a look on the actual video itself on YouTube, it has almost, in 4 days of video posting, it has almost 1 million views, becoming one of the largest videos that they ever did there, at least for this type of thing, right? And that gives me two things to talk about. The first thing is that a lot of people want infantry, proper infantry. If you talk about this and take a look on this, and everybody would want this. Every content creator talks about this, that they would want this. Everybody on the forums, everybody everywhere talks about how they want infantry to have a place in the game. Honestly, Gaijin, throughout the 12, 13 years that I've been playing this game, I think it's around there, right? They always denied that infantry would be a thing, even like mentioning stuff that are not really related to even gameplay, like for example the age rated stuff, so they never want War Thunder to not be like a game that it's not free for everybody to play in the terms of age, right? That's why we basically disable a crew. We never really kill somebody in the game. They're always unconscious, right? Always that you jump, every time you jump from an aircraft, a parachute will appear, etc., etc. So it's kind of a light game on that regard, right? Of deaths and everything with that, right? And infantry would kind of have a problem with that core thing that Gaijin never wanted to actually change on the game itself. But at the same time, we have infantry in the game. We even had infantry being tested, right? And you can kill it and they will go down. You don't get points or anything, but you get the point, right? The thing is that we kind of already have that. And let's be honest, even though they're trying to, surpass this type of thing, we all know we are killing the crew and everything, right? So at the end of the day, it's a marginal thing. So could it actually be added? Well, yes and no. To be honest, they have other games for that, like Enlisted, for example. So games that have a focus more on infantry than anything else, right? Although Gaijin is just technically the publisher, but they have in their arsenal a game that is more focused on infantry. And that tells us that they probably don't plan to add infantry in that regard. So that's kind of a boring thought, but at the same time it would make sense. At the same time, the second thing is that in the actual news article, they are saying that they are gonna talk about this in the future. Of course, this is for April Fool's, so probably everything is a lie there. But at the same time, they posted this in the day prior to the April Fools. And they did a very good video about this, right? So it's weird. It's weird because at the same time it feels that they are pushing and maybe testing the waters of what can actually be added to the game in the future and what people want. And clearly a lot of people want this, but at the same time it's not really feasible because of the things that I already talked about, right? So I'm really divided here, and I really want to talk with you guys. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about this? Do you think Gaijin will eventually add infantries to the game? Like proper infantry, like properly controllable infantry? Because honestly, the only way that I see this is by either the way that I talked about in the last video, you know, just World War modes and stuff like that, and then to fill the actual maps and stuff, have just like the World War One mode, April Fool's event, like infantry that it's running around and shooting and, you know, stuff like that. Or we will have something similar to maybe enlisted, right? For example, you could have bots that you can control. How would that work? For example, you have a BMP-2. You have a BMP-2 or BMP-1, a Bradley, any type of APC, you know, or any type of personal carrier in general, right? Then that vehicle will have a modification. You click on the modification, you research it, and now you can deploy an anti-tank, for example, squadron. 4, 6 guys, I don't know, that you can actually deploy, open the, you know, the back doors of the tank, and basically 6, you know, guys would drop out there with RPGs and normal guns and stuff, and then it would have some form of control, like controlling with the map, I don't know, something along those lines that you could actually control and tell them to capture a base, to try to destroy a tank with the RPG and everything. They wouldn't be like too OP or anything like that. Balance would be needed over here, but you get the point, right? It would be something that is in between having a person controlling an infantry properly with first person or third person, you know, and you are that infantryman and you are shooting and everything, or having, you know, just infantry in the map. So it's in between those. Honestly, I think it would be the best way to add infantry and the most fun way, with the regards of how Gaijin wants to have their game, you know, added and, you know, not added, like with their game going into the future. But basically that would be my idea, and that's something that they might actually do or not, you know, but it's the only thing that I can think of that would make sense talking about infantry like that. Okay, guys? Let me know in the comments, what do you think about that idea? I see you guys on the next one. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment. Happy weekend. And I see you guys probably tomorrow. Unless we see... Yeah, I don't know. Probably tomorrow. Okay? See you guys. Subscribe and bye.